Hi guys, in the last UK Parliament I used to refer to Jonathan Gulles as the House of Commons hooligan. It seems the Scottish Parliament has its own troublemakers, and interestingly one of them is a crossover from Westminster. When the Scottish First Minister John Swinney was explaining some of the cuts his government will have to make following a reduction in the block grant, he was heckled by members of the Scottish Parliament. One of them being Douglas Ross, who used to be an MP. Have a listen.
So, at the same time as we've got a budget cut of £160 million about winter fuel payments, we're affording over £800 million of additional costs to meet the costs of pay bills so that teachers and nurses and other members of the public services who are delivering vital services in our country. Why are you still shouting at me, Mr Hoy? You've got to listen to the presiding officer. You've got to listen to the presiding officer and stop behaving badly.
First Minister, I can assure the First Minister that I am wholly prepared to chair this meeting. I will not have any members shouting at one another. So let's start to conduct ourselves in an appropriate manner for this Parliament. First Minister.
Okay, she's as useful as a chocolate teapot. I don't know if she's related to Sir Lindsay Hoyle.
So, Presiding Officer, within the financial year that we face, where we have an acute cut to our budget of the winter fuel payments, this government has been left with no choice. But what I will say to Douglas Ross is that I will take absolutely no lesson from Douglas Ross, who supported every act of financial vandalism of the last Conservative government, every act of austerity which is leading to suffering amongst pensioners and families in our country, and the Conservatives have got no lessons to
teach the Scottish people or the Parliament. Look, the Conservatives trash the economy, and of course Scotland is part of that economy. So when Douglas Ross was voting for austerity, voting for policies to cut public services, this had an impact not just in Westminster, in England, but also in Scotland. Now as he lost his seat in Westminster, he's back in the Scottish Parliament. And of course he's not interested in making sure that people receive the services they need, because he supported cuts to public services. Now, because the block grant has been reduced, it means the Scottish Parliament, the Scottish Government I should say, has less money available. And they have to prioritise different sections of the economy. The First Minister here is saying that he's going to have to prioritise, for example, doctors, nurses, civil servants, those providing public services. And those who will lose out will be, for example, pensioners, or they will be others who will have to suffer the consequences of this. This is not a decision that he wants to make. We have to remember that the Scottish Government's their ability to raise taxes, to raise finance is limited. It's not like the Chancellor in Westminster. The Chancellor can borrow to her heart's content. She can raise taxes to her heart's content. But the Scottish Government, because it's devolved, some of its powers are reserved back in Westminster. It can't do the same as the government in Westminster. So he will have to make cuts. He has a fixed budget. He's not allowed to have a deficit. So he has to follow very strict fiscal rules. And he has to make a choice. Do we cut funding to doctors, nurses, frontline services, or do we cut other services? And it's a very difficult choice to make. But the last thing he needs is hecklers from the Conservative Party. There you had Douglas Ross. I don't know, and I don't care who the first guy was, but Douglas Ross, who was part of the original problem, sitting in the Scottish Parliament, heckling, not providing any solutions, not interested in providing solutions, just there to cause trouble. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.